Hello, everyone. Episode 27 of Season 3. We are on the air with this. So, what are we going to talk about today? Oh boy. So, the completely pointless change in the housing and immigration minister, because, as they say, I didn't type this in the description, but same shit, different minister, to be honest with you. The next Bank of Canada prediction. All right. So, a lot of people seem to be shocked by my prediction that I came up with. But it is what it is, and I kind of back it up with my thoughts. Why are housing prices not going to crash? Okay, so let me explain that one to you in the podcast. And finally, I try to explain the changes to your HELOCs attached to your homes that OSFI has announced and has actually already started to roll out with different banks like TD, Scotia, etc. Okay, so lots of really good important information as to what is happening right now. Because as we say, it's just an absolute moving target with this housing market. All right. Anyway, let's get at it.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Hello, everybody. Green Effect Podcast, Season 3, Episode 27. All right, we're live on the air, and man, we got some stuff to talk about because, got some changes happening, and I don't think it's actually going to change very much. So let's get right into it. We've got, so JT and company did their cabinet shuffle. I talked about that on my last podcast. Probably a whole lot of change for absolutely nothing. You still have him and Disney Plus lady, they still have their jobs. I'm not really sure how they didn't shuffle their asses out, but that's a whole other situation for another call. So we've got a new housing minister and a new immigration minister, and I want to talk about why this has got to be the most pointless change in ministers for two of the three probably most important problems right now in Canada. All right, so we still got Christia, however to pronounce her name, who cares? But you still have Christia Freeland, so she's still in charge of finance. Okay, Captain can't answer a question is still in charge for that, so that doesn't bode well. But the new housing and immigration minister, I want to talk about what they have been saying over the past couple of weeks as they've been induced into their new jobs. And you got to remember one thing. The new housing minister is the former immigration minister. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm kind of stealing from Peter to pay Paul to run this other problem. But anyway, regardless. So what he's saying is he's going to ramp up housing, right? We got to build more homes. God bless him. Yep, bingo, right? So he's talking about we got to get housing starts going. We got to move the dial. We got to start, I think the number is we need 2 million new homes in the next, 10 years to try to get housing to be affordable, okay? Now, I don't know what he's thinking, but in the current climate with rates where they are, folks, builders are not building, and they aren't releasing units for sale, okay? If you look at my social media over the last few weeks, I've been talking about housing starts just plummeting. They're not built. Why, as a builder, would I bother to build anything right now at record high interest rates? Cost of everything is up because of inflation, right? And I don't care what they say. My humble opinion, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, that 2.8, in my humble opinion, is, I think, a flash in the pan. Let's just call it what it is, okay? But, it's nice to say we're going to ramp up housing, but how are you going to do that? Because you're going to have to reduce fees, taxes. You're going to have to give tax breaks to these guys because they're not going to frickin' build. There's no incentive to build a damn thing. Why would they bother? There's no point, really, right? So thanks for announcing the obvious, but How are you going to do that? Which actually brings us into the next problem, because let's face it, this is all completely connected. Our new immigration minister has basically said, we are moving forward, right? 1 million people, we got to bring in more people, man, right? We got to deal with all these shortfalls in all of these areas. Okay, fair enough. I get it, because we do have more people dying than being born right now in Canada. I get it. However, where are these people going to go? Just riddle me this, please. And don't ask Christia Freeland, because she's not going to answer the question. Where are these people going to go? And I think, listen, I am a grandchild of immigrants. I am not saying I'm not saying we shut off immigration. We can't. We can't. Do we need to bring in 1 million people, 1.5 million people, where there's nowhere for them to live? Yes, there are the streets. Yes, there are the sidewalks. They can definitely live there. But I'm just not sure that's what we want for our Canada. And I think we need these folks in here to address shortfalls in labor. I get it. Selfishly, for the federal government, they need these folks here because they pay taxes. Most of them, right? Not all, but most. There are things they bring to Canada that we don't have homegrown. I understand that. I'm not debating that. However, with the 20,000 tradespeople short in Ontario, do we have a rule? Because other countries do this. Like, this is not unique. This is not a mean thing. Do other countries say, hey, listen, our doors are open if you're a carpenter, if you're an electrician, if you are a general laborer, and you will build homes and live in Windsor? I'm just making this up. Okay? Maybe we have to take our incredible country and be very selective for the next little while, just until we get this shit under control. We have to be very selective as to who we allow to immigrate into Canada. And I want to make sure I'm really clear here, okay? Because this can go sideways very quick. This is not a racial thing. It's nothing like that. It's, folks, would you want to be a new Canadian coming in with the promise of amazing, and this is worse than the country that you are leaving because you want a better life for your family and you're living on the streets? We have created this. We've created this problem. Let's not misunderstand. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. But I think it's where we're at. I really think it's where we're at. And so part of this as well, if I can now bring this even more full circle, the government needs the immigration to build more homes so people keep buying homes and people keep selling homes, because that's how they get revenue and land transfer tax and capital gains, and that's what makes our economy go round and round and round. But right now, it's like a car with we're talking Flintstones, man. We're talking car with square tires, or we need to push with our feet. Because it's not good right now. It's not good. And to further, just to keep throwing more logs on this torturous fire, okay? People can't sell their house right now. People are stuck in their mortgage. Rates have gotten to the point where maybe people can't qualify anymore. So guess what? They're going to stay in their house for longer, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Because I think too much during the pandemic, we were treating real estate like we were treating stocks. Buy them, sell them, trade them, got them, right? No big deal. We're all making tons of money. But traditionally, historically, people hold on to the houses a little bit longer. They grow into them, right? Do some work on it, increase the value, etc. That's not happening right now. Another little side note on this. I don't know where I read this, but I don't have the exact data to back it up, but it makes complete sense. How many people purchased homes for 100% Airbnb? If they go to sell that house, they have to have the buyer, for the most part, pay HST separately. And the banks will not finance the HST because it is now a business. It's a business expense. It's all under business. It's 100% Airbnb. That's going to slow down the market. And for those folks who can't fill their Airbnbs right now because tourism is way down, you can just see where this is going to go. So people are holding on to their properties. People are holding on to their rental properties. Listen, I give advice to my clients. I'll be honest with you. I tell them, hold on to your property, man. I think real estate is going to be a hard asset. My friends Nick and Tom from Rockstar bring this up all the time. Okay, hard asset, baby. You will own something that nobody else owns, and people can't buy. That defines a hard asset with value. It's like gold. I tell my clients, if it all makes sense financially, keep the property. Don't sell it. Keep it. Because that's the advice you got to give them. It doesn't make sense to sell if it's all working well. So, again, it's going to be a constant churning of bullshit until somebody figures out how to actually build more homes and actually control immigration. Okay? So these are things that we're going to run into. And it's going to keep going. Because then the other problem we got is, let's face it, we got politicians running the country, not folks that actually want to make things better for us. Let's not confuse the two, my friends. Okay? These are two very different things. And so what do? We give Canadians the promise of amazing. We're not going to do a damn thing about it. We're going to give, like my 20-year-old daughter, she got $450 for a grocery rebate. She doesn't buy the damn groceries in the house. I'm not saying there's not 20-year-olds that need that money, but can we not be a little bit smarter about this? So this is, like I said, it's just going to churn, man. It's just going to churn. And I think, I read an article, and I got to look it up and post it. So please take this, not with a grain of salt, but the data is there. I just got to get the exact numbers. So apparently Minnesota, and hey, selfishly, the home of my Minnesota Golden Gophers, just saying, but Minnesota has apparently solved a lot of their issues relative to housing, where their inflation numbers have stayed down. Housing's affordable. And the solution was, and again, I'll get the exact details, they went ahead and just built a whole shit ton of homes. Affordable homes. Like, how did Minnesota figure this out? Like, why can't we all do this? I don't get it. So I'll have to look up the exact article, folks. Believe me, I'm totally going off the cuff with the article that I read, but I'll have to get the exact details. But that's something that you're going to have to look at as a possible solution. Things that actually are working. All right, which brings me to my next thing. All right, let's just keep going along here. So with all that being said, my friends, people keep asking me what's going to happen with rates and housing prices and stuff like that. I got news for you. Our housing prices ain't going anywhere. Like, it's simple supply and demand. Like, explain to me how prices go down. Because here's the problem. Prices go down, you're going to spark a buying frenzy. Because now people can all of a sudden afford stuff. Which is kind of sad, because that's what you want, but it's not going to happen. And you've also got a lot of folks that are in charge that have rather large rental property portfolios. Do you think the ministers who probably have a bunch of rental properties are going to let this happen? Hell no. Hell no. You heard it here first. So, do I think housing prices are going to collapse? They can't. They can. I mean, obviously that's a stupid comment, but they can't. They can, but they're not going to. They can't. Yeah, we can take 10, 15% here and there. Some places went 20. I get it. But they ain't going any further. They might go a little bit more, but I don't see these house prices dropping like hardcore. It's just they can't, right? They can, but they can't. And so what do I think is going to happen with the next Bank of Canada rate announcement? I've been saying this already. People are like, oh my God, do you really think so? I think he's going to jack it up another 0.25%. Like, we have forces fighting each other between Tiffy Boy and JT. JT be spending, Tiffy Boy be tightening. Like, this is not complicated. Give me a flash in the pan on inflation, okay? Listen, does it come down again? Maybe. I doubt it. I posted the damn gas prices. And I don't know about you, but I don't see... I saw a container of squeezable mayonnaise for $7.99? $8.99. $7.99. Who cares? Still expensive. Like, I'm going out without mayonnaise. Screw that. I am not buying that. I don't need mayonnaise that badly. Like, seriously. So, if inflation goes down, I don't know how the hell it's going down. Magic. Maybe. Maybe the same thing that JT and Disney Plus lady are banking on. Magic. But I'm not seeing inflation going down. If it does go down, I'd be shocked. So, I'm telling you, my prediction, I'd bet a shiny toonie on it. We're going up another 0.25%. Sorry if everyone's upset and just shut off the podcast, but that's what he's going to have to. This is insanity. Until someone takes away JT's credit card, because that's what he's spending on right now, this is going to keep getting worse. So that's where you're at. It's sad, but I think that's what's going to happen. Finally, to continue my complete pile of shit bad news for the whole podcast, what were OSFI, remember those guys? Yeah, nice guys. Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions. Nice guys. I don't know, man. I know when I go home sometimes at night, I tell my wife about my day and, the crazy stuff that happens. Man, what do they do when these guys go home at night when they're done their job? They're like, yeah, honey, great day at work today, man. I sat around and did nothing, and now I'm doing something way late that I should have done earlier. It's a great day. Anyway, so this is kind of important, actually. If you have a first position home equity line of credit, so that is, to give a sample, Scotia calls it their STEP, TD calls it Flex Line, RBC calls it Home Line Plan, CIBC calls it Power Line, BMO calls it Homeowner Ready Line of Credit. The list goes on. Basically, it's a combination of mortgage and line of credit, okay? The new rule, and we've already had banks sending out letters to clients who already have the product because, guys, they're allowed to do this. So don't think that, the bank's oh, they're doing something wrong. No, everything they're doing is they're allowed to do it, okay? What's going to end up happening is, let's say, for example, you have a $500,000 home. Back in the day when houses were $500,000. So you have a $500,000 home. The limit is 80% loan to value, which is $400,000, just as an example. But within the limit, you only really need a $300,000 mortgage, and the other $100,000 is a line of credit. Okay, so total $400,000, $300,000 mortgage, $100,000 line of credit. Now, in today's world, as you pay down principal on the mortgage, the limit on the line of credit will increase by the amount of that principal reduction. Sounds simple. New rules, and even existing people are getting hit with this, the limit will not increase by the amount of your principal reduction until you are at 65% loan to value. So, in that scenario, and I'm drawing a blank on this, you're going to hear my calculator going. Okay, so in that scenario, until you, that might have been a bad example, actually. Let's go with until you bring that mortgage down to about 325. Okay, so until the limit gets down to 325. That's what I should have said. So from now on, you're approved for the 100,000 line, but it's not going to increase until the overall limit gets down to 325,000. Then your line of credit will start to increase. Okay, so let me give that to you one more time, because I misspoke on the number there. $500,000 property, $400,000 limit, 100,000 line of credit, $300,000 mortgage within the $400,000 limit. Once the mortgage plus the limit on the line of credit get down to 325 total, your next payment of principal reduction on your mortgage will increase the limit on that $100,000 mortgage, $100,000 line of credit. Okay? So the max you can have is 65% loan to value on a credit line. Where does this bugger things up? It's very simple. People who are depending on that principal reduction to increase their line of credit to possibly buy homes, etc., are going to be impacted. Most people, this is not necessarily a big thing, but it could be if people have had it for a while. Okay? So not the end of the world, but if you do get a letter from your bank saying this is happening, that's what that means. They're not going to take away your existing limit. You still have your existing limit. Okay? You can still be approved for the existing limit. Not a problem. But as it reduces until you get to 65% of that asset value, the limit's not going to increase by your principal reduction amount. Okay? If that sounds confusing, dude, it's all good. Let me know. I'll be more than glad to talk to you more about it. Okay? And then also the other part too is there's more details to come. Like, banks aren't like anything. Banks are not, they get the new rule and then they got to figure out how they're going to deal with it, basically. Okay, so more to come. We'll see how it all goes. All right. Man, that's enough for today. That's almost like what? Almost half an hour-ish, 25 minutes. All right, so you know the dealio here. Like me, love me, follow me, want me, desire me, heart me, whatever you got to do. Hope this information's helpful. Yes, there are guests coming. As soon as I can get to the point where I can get the guests booked, dude, I'm bringing on guests. You don't have to listen to me bitch and complain for half an hour every week, okay? Anyway, take care, everybody. I'm here if you need me. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.